Hi, everybody. So nice to be here with you again this month. Let's dive right in. What I want to discuss this month is the quality, the consciousness of your relationship with yourself, between you and you. Because so often we develop these patterns of just reactionary response. We just react to the world around us until our brains are so conditioned to wake up every day hyper-vigilant, on the ready for the tigers that might be hiding, lurking. We are anticipating stress. We're anticipating pain. We're anticipating negativity. And so that deeply affects our ability to create any level of joy in our life. In fact, it creates regular synaptic pathways in our brain to anticipate the opposite. And the indicator of that is how we're feeling. Do we wake up every day excited to get after it, confident, looking forward to whatever we're going to be involved in that day, whether it's work, whether it's play, whether it's friends, whether it's outings? What level of joy do you have in your life? That's a really good indicator of the self-dialogue that you've got going on. And the pattern is indicative if you're constantly on social media. Thank you, social media, for the addictive dopamine hits, only to also flood us with perfectionism and performance. Our younger generation is now used to counting likes on posts, basing their value on other people's opinions of them. I was having a conversation the other day, remembering that when I was young, my dad used to drive me to the library. Anytime I wanted to go, he would drive me to the library because I loved to read books. And I would come home with a stack of books that I couldn't wait to dive into and read. But we don't do that so much anymore. There's pros and cons to having Dr. Google at our fingertips. It's an extraordinary time that we live in. But if we are unconscious most of the time, and science says we're unconscious 95% of our day, then it is our patterns, it is our habits, it is our deep programming that just keeps projecting out into the world and attracting back the people, the places, and the things that match that thinking, that match those habits we've formed over decades that just feel like what? They feel like us. They feel like our identity. We don't have the ability to separate ourselves from them anymore. We just assume that's who we are and that's the way the world is. But is it? That's a big question to ask, because this actually dives into a much bigger and deeper conversation. We often spend so much time looking outside of ourselves, right? Responding to the world. The world which, in its current evolution that we're seeing today, of media, of news, tends to be skewed to sensationalism, to violence, to corruption, to disinformation, to fear-based information. If you ever watch the news, it's the last 30 seconds that they'll show you a good news, good feeling story. Yes, we need the highlights, but not every day, and not where you're only in unequal proportion showing what's negative. That is training our brains. That is creating a stress response. Where in equal time are you getting information that's joy-based, that's empowerment-based, that is making you feel capable, making you feel excited, hopeful, happy about life, right? We don't have the same proportion. And so we are creating patterns of expectation skewed towards negativity, fear, guilt, shame. And all of this, if you look, what's the pattern behind that? What's the point? What's the purpose? In my opinion, that is to lead you away from yourself and your own ability to think, to decide, to make decisions, to claim your uniqueness and your value, and know intrinsically that you are safe, that you're worthy, that you matter. If I were to take a poll right now, just of 100 people around the globe, and ask them, do you feel like you matter in this world? What do you think the answer would be? What would be the percentage? Right? I like to study these patterns. I look for them because I'm very grounded in my beliefs in science and in mysticism, because it was that very sweet spot that helped me heal when I almost died back in 2002. Western didn't have the answers for me. They didn't know what to do with me. And alternatives started to open my eyes to a lot of different teachings, different mentorship, different modalities, different understandings, all in service to what? Me getting to know more about myself, more about my abilities, more about energy, more about the world we live in, more about how the mechanism of our brain actually works, because it takes the same amount of energy to create a negative story as it does to create a hopeful one. But we are so conditioned to believe the negative one to have more power, be more likely, more probable, that we are all now co-creating this environment of probability. And I, for one, don't think we have to be. We can be co-creating something that is much more joyful as well, but that requires us to have a different relationship with ourselves. That requires us to have a different level of responsibility to take ownership over what shows up in our life. And that's where things start to really fall apart. Because over time, responsibility and taking ownership starts to feel like self-judgment, starts to feel like a lack of something. Because if this outcome is negative and you want me to say that I had a hand in it, then therefore I'm responsible for creating something that doesn't feel good. Therefore something must be wrong with me. I'm not doing it right. I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding it. And we avoid that. We avoid pain at all costs. Our brain, our subconscious mind is designed to protect us. Its job is to move us towards pleasure and away from that pain. So we have now crossed the wires between responsibility and power and responsibility and pain. And it all hinges on our relationship with ourselves. If we can let go of the self-judgment, if we could just put it down for a minute, and start to ask questions like, what if? What if I could learn to have such a deep relationship with myself that ownership of my experience in this lifetime doesn't mean something's wrong with me. It means I'm learning. It means I'm tweaking. It means I'm adjusting it. It means I'm contemplating and reapplying. It means I celebrate everything that I love and I learn from everything that I don't love. But it doesn't mean something's intrinsically wrong with me. It doesn't equate to my worth. It doesn't equate to my value. This is where we go sideways. We equate everything to our worth and value. And with the dawn of social media and performances, everyone out there looks like life is perfect for them. And yet I can tell you, I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of people now. And my ratio is probably 8-2 women to men. And I have worked with people in all different careers. I have worked with doctors, lawyers, neurosurgeon, artists. I've worked with housewives. I've worked with single moms. I've worked with high-tech leaders, industry leaders, influencers. I've worked with all kinds of powerful women, CEOs, managing hundreds, thousands of people. I've worked with people making millions of dollars a year, and I've worked with stay-at-home moms raising kiddos. And we are all the same. When I look for the pattern, you know what the pattern is that I see that keeps being revealed to me? We all want to make peace with our past and our pain. And we all want to create a future that feels fulfilling, that feels joyful, that does not have these three things: guilt, shame, or fear. That's what we all want. That's the pattern I keep seeing across the board. Now, our programming is different for each of us. We all have had different upbringings. We've had different life experiences, but we want the same things. And as we dive into our relationships with ourselves and really start to question, why do I believe that? Why do I believe that I'm not capable? Why do I believe that only when I have this can I have this? Why do I believe that it's just not meant for me, or it's just not my time, or someone else is doing a better job of that than I am? We do not claim our uniqueness. And yet, if you are here on this planet listening to this, you are already an incredible miracle. Your birth. You're here. 1 in 8 billion. And you have a unique blueprint to you. You have an innate knowing within you of what you love, what you desire, what you want to contribute. And the rest is all patterns of habits and beliefs that get in the way, that tell you why you can't have it. And your brain starts to sabotage your ability to have it, trying to protect you from ever feeling that pain again. But what if we chose to have a different relationship with ourselves? Could we still be strong? Could we still feel good when we're looking at things in the world that are designed to make you feel bad? Could you still feel good? Could you self-regulate? Could you learn to self-regulate? Because feeling bad energetically only contributes to more energy of feeling bad. We can't make those changes. The way we make those changes is claiming our uniqueness, knowing that we're capable, learning how to really consciously have a relationship with ourselves and our minds, and using the mechanism to make a shift between these two things, because this is what I think the pattern is. We are so conditioned to live a life of avoiding pain that we have very little joy, and we are co-creating it on a massive scale. What if we could change that relationship, where we created a life of joy with the understanding and acceptance that we will at times have to walk with pain? We will at times have to go through challenging situations, but we'll be okay. And you already have the evidence of that, because everybody has had some form of experience that caused them pain. It was temporary, we moved through it. That doesn't mean that certain things don't last forever. They do. Grief lasts a very long time, but you can hold joy and grief. You don't just be consumed by grief. You can move through stages and then find joy again. So can we have a relationship with ourselves where our worth is not determined by other people's opinions or by our beliefs of what success is supposed to look like? And can we instead begin to create the most empowering, self-loving relationship that gives us hope for the future by claiming our uniqueness, by claiming that we are capable, by looking at what shows up with the most beautiful curiosity instead of self-blame and self-loathing, without blaming the world for everything? Can we become so powerful that we are a co-creative factor in it? And when we do that, then you start to contribute in a way that changes and ripples out, because when you can do that, then you lead by example, and then others can learn in your footsteps. And that ripples and that ripples and that ripples until we have so many people self-regulating, so many people choosing joy, so many people not judging themselves, not performing, not looking for perfection, not trying to be someone else, recognizing how extraordinary they are just to be here, and choosing their own inner self-development, their own inner connection to that innate wisdom within them. That now we're living joy and we're capable of walking with pain. And the way we contribute starts to change communities, starts to change our whole ability to create energetically. Imagine what that would look like, right? Our brains are our allies. But if we are passive And we just let them create patterns based on our habits day after day after day that make us feel anxious, that make us feel unhappy, that make us feel like we're not good enough, that make us feel like we have to be everybody else's person and it's only getting worse. Think about the patterns you're feeding every day. They're going to learn at that point not only that that's the way that it is and that's the truth, but they're going to expect it even when it's not there. Even when there's no evidence of it, your brain is going to look for the evidence of it. So you're going to continue to be a self-fulfilling prophecy and find all the things you don't want to find. That's the perfect energy match. That's the same trajectory. So it's only logical to say we have to develop a different relationship with ourselves. We have to clean up those beliefs and stop beating ourselves up for everything and stop blaming everyone else if we don't like what's in our world. What if you decided today to take ownership for what's in your world without blame of anyone else, including yourself, and just decided to see it from the eye and the lens of curiosity of what am I learning from this? What am I telling myself that this is the environment that I've developed for me? This is the reality that I have in front of me. And what might I start to say differently, even if I don't have the proof of it yet? Could I start to feel into that? Is it possible? Is there evidence? Have I seen anyone else do it? I guarantee you, for anything that you want, there will be evidence of that. You will just talk yourself out of it because you will think you are not enough. We have to repair our relationship to our self-worth. First and foremost, we must believe that we are already significant. We matter. We're on this planet. We have a unique contribution to make. Our brains are supposed to be creating everything that we want. They're working perfectly. They're just creating everything we don't want. It's the same mechanism, and it takes just as much energy. In fact, it's much more draining to believe in something every day that's negative because you don't want to get up and go in the next day. We don't want to do that. But when we use the mechanism for the positive and we let the evidence catch up to us, which means we have to have some faith. We have to say, I'm going to feel like this because it just feels better to feel like this. And at some point, I'm going to see much more proof of it. I know it'll come, but right now, I'm just selfishly doing it because I want to feel good each day. And if we can talk ourselves into that a little bit more and a little bit more, we're building new synaptic pathways and our brain starts looking for the evidence of it. And now we start creating a really powerful relationship with ourselves so that no matter where you are in the world and someone is behaving any certain way, it doesn't trigger you the same way anymore. You're not reactive to the world. You're self-regulating and managing your own joy, knowing that at times you're going to have to walk with some discomfort. And that is a whole lot different than I'm going to protect myself from pain and rarely ever experience joy. That's the reality that most people are walking in right now. And that reality is being fed all day long by social media, news organizations, disinformation, and so forth. So you have to choose. You have to decide. And it starts with, can you accept your value? Can you embrace your value? And can you begin to dive in and have a completely different relationship with yourself simply for the pleasure of it? Knowing that at times you open that door, that sometimes there will be challenges that'll come through too, because you're ready for them. You're ready for the next level. You want more. I don't believe anybody came here to say, get me to a safe place and let me wait it out until I'm 100. I don't believe that for a second. We came here to see what we're capable of. And we're capable of so much. We're just not enjoying what we're doing. But if we could take ownership of being a co-creative partner in this, and that we actually have power, that we can decide how this feels, how we show up every day, and we can make peace with the pain of our past and say, that wasn't fun. I became stronger, or I'm less naive now, or I became more resilient, or I became someone that now saw that I'm capable of a whole lot more than I thought I was. I didn't think I could walk through that, but I did. And it was temporary, and I got to the other side of it, and there's more. So I'm going to decide, am I going to create more trying to avoid that pain over and over and over again? So I'm going to live a smaller life, reactive to the world, hoping no trouble finds me? Or am I going to create joy? Am I going to create so much joy? And in that, I know there will be pain. There will be challenges. That's life. That's duality. And I accept that. But I'm never going to give up the joy. So I am always going to be looking for and expecting more of the joy. Then we start evolving differently. We start showing up in life differently. We start showing up with a different level of confidence, a different level of communication. We show up in ways that really inspire other people to believe that that's possible for them too. And it all begins with how we speak to ourselves, how we cultivate our relationship. Questioning what's true just because of an experience of the past does not mean it's a guarantee for your future over and over again, but you got to make peace with that pain. And we use that powerful ally, our subconscious mind, in the way that it's always been intended, but we use it much more consciously in a much more focused way, creating incredible things that we'd call miracles. Things that we call healing, things that we call abundance, things that we call partnership, things that we call love, things that we call power. It's all available. But if you don't believe it's available, you're right. And if you believe it is available and it's going to take a little time for the evidence to catch up, but you can feel good now, you're also right. Those experiences are worlds apart. We have to decide to take our place as the co-creative partner that we are. I thought that was a very valuable and worthy conversation to have. So wherever you are, wherever you live, if you're moving into the warmer weather like we are now, I hope you enjoy all of nature and all of the beauty, the birds and the flowers and the spring blooms and all the chipmunks and squirrels and bunnies. Everybody's so active. I've seen foxes in the yard. It is just absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And if you're going into the winter, then you're going into this beautiful contemplative time to wrap up and snuggle in and think about all of the ways that you can begin to live the life that you've always wanted to be living. If I can ever help you with that in any way through clinical hypnotherapy, I would be happy to do so. Just reach out through the website, magadamsonhypnotherapy.com. Thank you, and I'll see you next month. Bye for now.